churches aren't gangs. You can still be friends with people if they leave. What's up, everybody?
What's up? Welcome to the Tug of War.
Guys, we're thrilled that you're here hanging out with us. I apologize for my co-host who's over there just snacking away.
I am, if you
straight into the microphone.
These are...
Oh, okay. What is it called? A video where they do the...
Oh, yeah. What's that called? ASMR.
We're doing an ASMR. Remember we did a video where we were eating?
That was years ago. And it was kind of gross.
It was gross. We were eating while we were...
A mukbang. Thank you, Caden.
That's what I want to do
today.
Guys, thank you. Welcome. Conversation.
It's these pretzel crisps.
Okay.
They're gluten-free, which I'm not a gluten-free person, but they just happen to be gluten-free, and they're very different and good, and I like them. Okay.
Conversation about pretzels.
Between two friends.
But conversation between two friends about where we are and where we want to be.
That's right.
The tension, the tug, the turmoil.
That's the tug of more.
And so we talk about all kind of stuff here.
That's right.
We talk about life and leadership and Jesus. Yep. We've been having some great episodes.
I think so. We had the one on sarcasm all the people liked.
Whoa.
We had the one on, what was the one about Pleasant Church? Come on, we're not killing Pleasant View or Pleasant Ridge, both of which are churches in our community.
We don't know them.
We don't know them at all. We were discussing Pleasant Church as in... If you are too pleasant and not real, then it's fake and pretend.
Dude, let's get with it.
That one got a lot of feedback.
Yeah, lots of feedback.
There's been several feedbacks. Feedbacks? Yeah, that's the right word. Okay.
Guys, we have been tomming around town.
That's right. Oh, gosh.
Y'all are killing it. So many people have been tomming around town.
Oh, we have a winner this week.
We do? Who is it?
Rachel Scott.
Rachel Scott
has been tomming around, but also then posting about like the different episodes. What I appreciate about hers is she's also posting the different episodes and why they're impactful to her.
Oh, nice.
So she's not just saying, hey, I'm listening, which is great. Everyone who's doing that, keep doing it. I love it. But I also love that she's saying like, this one helped me and here's why. Because she's trying to help her friends know this will help you. And she's encouraging them to listen to it. Yep.
We've got a new producer in the room today, K-Dog. So Caden, anytime we hit, that just means we got to put something in there.
Yeah.
So he's ready.
I don't even know if he's the one editing it, but at least he knows that it's there, and we told him. And yeah, he's not new to the team. He's new and been around.
K-Dog, as we sat down to film, he goes, Pastor, even you could do this. And so what is that commercial? Even a caveman could do it. So hey, at the Tugmore, even a caveman.
Even anyone.
Rich Scott, thank you for tugging around town.
That's right. Yes, thank you for tugging around town. We are going to have a hat for you. We have these boxes. Remember our promo boxes that we sent out to all the fancy people when we thought we were being fancy?
Yeah.
And we have leftover ones, and we're like, we should put the hats in the box. So now Rachel's going to get a hat in the box. I'm going to give her the box and give it away.
Nice.
Enrique was like, should we throw these away? I'm like, no, we got these
great. I love that.
Okay.
Guys, I feel like today we've been winning so good.
We're having a winning day.
It's a Tuesday, and so Tuesday is like meetings day.
It's
so
our
we have
Devo.
Staff meeting, and then we had lunch in the building, and then we...
which is a contentious situation, but we're doing it right now.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah.
And then we had a meeting talking about year 15.
Whoa!
We're
15 weeks away.
15 weeks away from year 15.
Whoa.
Oh, I just remember what we're supposed to talk about.
What?
We're supposed to do 84 days of Tug More, so we have to talk about that.
Oh.
Because we did not come up with a plan. Last episode, we were like, okay, next episode, we're going to give the whole layout. Guess how much work we've done on it?
0. We totally forgot. We kept saying there's something else, and we couldn't remember what it was.
That's what it was. I was supposed to talk about it today in staff meeting. But anyway, our Devo was powerful.
Yeah.
Our staff meeting was efficient.
Yeah.
And our secondary meeting was very fruitful.
And as we were... talking about it, we were celebrating all the wins. Let's talk about the first meetings, the Devo. Okay. So our Devo time starts at 9-ish as everyone gets there and all the things, and we start it. And for years, you or I, or sometimes we would assign staff members to give a Devo because we were just trying to get conversation started.
Yeah.
And for years, we would like do this like Devo and it'd be good and we'd talk, or we'd do prayer time or whatever. But it was kind of like, okay. But now...
it felt like just a mini Sunday again.
Yeah, or like a time of like, how do we get everyone to...
I'm bringing another lesson.
Yes.
I felt the pressure of have 3 points in a story and then pray it out and bring a lesson.
Yes.
Whereas now, just like we have a conversation here, we have a conversation with our team.
Between 20 friends, and it's so good. And it went for over an hour and a half. And what I love about it is we're all growing.
Yeah.
You and I grew in our wisdom and understanding and our clarity.
Oh, bro.
in there from words shared by others around the table. And like everyone's bringing something. Everyone's got, there's not a pressure to it of like, you must talk. But now they just do. Now they're just sharing and we're all growing together. It's just beautiful. I'm really proud of it. So I think that's part of what started our day feeling like we're winning because it's like we have a great team with people with great hearts. Yeah. And they're like growing and they want to grow together. So it's cool.
It's perfect.
Then
we walk through Matthew 9. If you're looking for something to read, all of Matthew 9. Matthew 9 is great.
And Mike shared it.
But we ended in the very last verse that the Bible says he's the Lord of the harvest.
Come on.
You know who's not the Lord of the harvest?
Us.
This guy.
Right.
Which is good because he's going to figure it out. And it's good because when it's winning, he should get the glory.
Right. Absolutely.
But we try to be the Lord of the harvest on both ends. When we're winning, clap for me. And when we're losing, punch me in the eye.
I suck. Yeah. And
he's
the Lord of the harvest. It was so good. Mike shared towards the top. Mike always has a wrap up for us. But this time he shared towards the top, which I think helped even perpetuate the conversation, keep going. It was just great. Then we had our regular meeting.
Yeah. Are we just doing our full day recap?
Yeah. Well, I was just saying why we were winning so hard.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you got to celebrate why you're winning.
Well, we moved our staff meeting location to now in our like office annex. We don't know what we're going to call it. We don't know. We have to name all the rooms of the church. I don't know where we're having it. And so, we walked through a handful of events and a couple things going on.
We celebrated Sunday, which we can do in a second, I guess.
Yeah. And we were efficient.
Yes.
Sometimes you get 20, 30 people now. Conversation can get a little like rabbit traily.
Yeah, so or like 9 conversations happening at once.
I brought my plush Thor hammer to the meeting.
You didn't even have to use it.
I didn't even need it.
That was good.
I did hit Tim a handful of times.
That was just for fun. And then we had our contentious lunch situation.
So our team is very divided. There is not unity in the house.
No, we're struggling.
And a house that's
everyone
divided,
has good hearts, but there's disagreement.
A house that's divided will not stand, and we have some division in the house. So we do staff lunch together every Tuesday. Yeah. Just for us to connect and hang out. The church doesn't buy it. Everybody buys their own lunch, right?
It's just part of the...
And so we pick a restaurant to go to, and we learned that some of the team doesn't want to spend the money. Some of the team would rather brown bag it, pack a lunch.
And we got to be honest, we do not pay them like millionaires. They work at a church.
I'm not buying their lunch.
We're bridging the gap. We're not buying their lunch, and their pay may not be to the full level that it should be, that they deserve.
And then we go to a restaurant that Mike picks, and nobody wants to go except Mike.
Poor Mike.
Shots
it was
fired.
Actually not that bad, but Thai Texas.
Will you go again? By yourself? Will you and Aaron go on a date night?
No. Will I go with Mike if him and Tina ask me?
Okay.
Yes.
But will you also suggest 8 other options before you go there?
Yeah. It's kind of like going to Sweet Tomatoes with Tim.
This is what I'm talking about. And so it's like, do we force everybody to go to lunches when they don't want to spend the money at a place they might not want to go to? So anyways, what we're doing is every other week, 1 week restaurant, 1 week bring your lunch. But you know what happens is today, over half the table just left real quick, grabbed Chipotle.
And came back.
So it's contentious.
And last night I spent $40 at H-E-B buying all of the things in order to make a lunch. And I'm like...
I'm sure Aaron's thrilled about that.
Yeah. I mean, can I make more things with the bread and the meat and cheese at home later? Sure. But it was still $40. Like, I'm like, I can just spend $15 at Chipotle. I'd rather do that.
Yeah. So we did that, but it was great. Oh, and I'm a little frustrated. I've got to call somebody out. Can I do that?
Yeah.
I always encourage on the tug of war.
Yeah, but sometimes...
But this one, I'm going to blast somebody.
Show honor where honor's due. And then also sometimes you got to show like, hey, this is what's up. This is what's up.
A number of months ago on the podcast, I talked about caffeine and how I don't drink a lot of caffeine and how I had these energy drinks and some are healthy and some are not healthy.
And you are a sensitive human.
Here we go.
You are very mighty and strong.
Yeah.
You have never had a cavity.
Right. I'm easily affected.
I was going to say, you don't get headaches. Like you are superhuman in most things. But then I think because of that, you're kind of like the princess and the pea where like I can feel the pea under the mattress.
Yeah.
You can tell if you've had Tylenol. You can tell if you've had a drink of caffeine. You're very like...
sensitive.
Balanced. But if anything throws the balance off.
She's trying hard to keep it complimentary while calling me the princess and the pea.
No, it's just interesting.
It's true. It's true. I wish it wasn't.
You're self-aware and
I'm very sensitive.
Self-aware.
Okay, so I'm very sensitive. So somebody heard that I needed like, what's a good energy drink for days that I'm kind of sleepy?
Yeah. Well, you were talking about Alani's, I think, because that's what the girls
So here we
drink.
go. Andrew Byther.
Andrew.
energy drink appears in my fridge in my office. And Andrew's like,
he broke in.
Andrew gets excited. He's like, hey, Pastor Trustin, hey, I got you an energy drink.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay. Well, so I drink it today during staff meeting. I don't even drink all of it. I drink maybe a third of it. And I start feeling kind of like.
Trustin doesn't ever burp either. It's also a thing.
Very rarely.
You burp, but you don't very rarely burp.
Not like public. I'm not
You're
belching
not like a
in
boy.
public.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting in staff meeting. I'm like, dude, what is going on? Dude. Then I stand up and I'm like, uh-oh. And I'm like, I got to go to the bathroom, right? And
Yeah.
just all just, you know what I'm saying? There's a situation
It's
there.
going to go through you quickly.
And so I'm reading Andrew Byther's Bloom energy drink, and it's full of prebiotics, which God knows what that's in there.
Aren't they girl? I thought they were girl energy drinks.
I don't know, but
they look like it with flowers, like they're all cutesy. Well, I thought they were more like, you know how deodorant is pH balanced for a woman or whatever? Like that's what I thought.
This was not pH balanced for Trust and Baba.
That's for sure.
I jacked my stuff up. And so listen, it's strawberry and watermelon flavor. Mm-hmm. What color do you think the liquid should be?
Pink, red.
Bright yellow. Andrew, what did you give me?
What chemical is in it?
I don't know. He gave me a chemical cocktail. And so I drank about a third of it, and I thought I was about to die.
I told him he's about to pull a Barth, because the Barths, we have issues sometimes where we poop our pants.
Listen, I'm not pooping my pants. If I'm going to poop my pants, I'm just going to poop somebody's floor and keep my pants intact.
We have lots of poop stories, but
I do not.
Trustin's face looked like, am I about to have a poop issue? What's happening?
I had to jog out of staff meeting.
He loves that I'm saying the word poop multiple times.
Handle this situation. But I'm good now.
You're good.
I think I've got my water.
But maybe it was good for you. You feel better now? Is that the point of the energy drink?
I'm a regular. I'm good. I don't need.
You don't need extra poop help.
My body does what its job is.
What its job is.
It's very efficient.
This is the thing of why you're the Princess and the Pea.
The factory of Trustin does its job.
What do you call it? A meat vehicle.
The meat vehicle is efficient.
And therefore, it should work. And when it doesn't, am I having a heart attack or do I need to burp? We don't know.
Yeah, every time I have to burp, I feel like I might be having a heart attack. And I'll be like, Rachel.
It's not dramatic.
Something is, I think, I don't know if I have a heart attack. What's going on? And then like 30 minutes later, I'm like, brr, and I'm like, oh, that's all that was happening.
Indigestion.
It's weird.
That's really funny.
All right, that's not at all what we're talking about.
No.
We've been talking for 11 minutes on God knows what.
I haven't even been paying attention because we don't have our timer hung yet because we moved rooms. We love this room. It's very big. It lets us talk about whatever we want.
Yeah.
But we don't have as many electric outlets, so we're still waiting for that on the list to come and get more added so we can see our timer.
We keep saying that if anybody here wants to sponsor the Tug of More, we're looking for. Wait, why is that light's not even on? Oh. Is that why? Is Whitney in the dark? This light's not even on.
Oh, I go turn it on.
We're looking for an official sponsor.
Here, put
of
the
Tug
camera
of More.
only on him, and I'll get up and go. I'll go turn. Okay. No, he said no.
No, Caden.
He said, "Don't worry about it."
K-Dog, he knows what's up. We're looking for an official sponsor. I don't care who you are. Anybody can be the sponsor.
That's right. Okay, so Sunday we had camp celebration Sunday, and it was amazing. I was not here because I had said yes to going somewhere else, which was great. But I was very sad to not be home because I love our home. Yes, I'm a loser. He's holding a sign of loserness over my face.
When he was gone.
It was beautiful. Camp
she went to
celebration.
go preach at another church, so she gets a
I had said yes a while back, but it was such a great day.
We baptized, I think, 17 kids.
Oh.
We heard so many testimonies of life change.
Yes.
We had a leader panel where they talked about what God did in their life as leaders. It was the most beautiful thing. I couldn't be prouder. I sat and watched our whole staff do the entire service. I didn't do jack. I literally sat on the front row and cried.
And then you got to be Blaze at the end.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh.
There's some guy that everyone thinks is me. It's not me.
Yes. Just
it's
like Caden was definitely not Max Power. Max Power?
Yeah, no,
Max
there's a
Power?
Character. There's a guy that comes to kids service every once in a while named Blaze.
Yes.
Who is full of energy and has great hair.
It is super
it's
handsome.
Not me.
Yes. That's really funny. No, it was wonderful. It's just very cool. We say all the time that our house is built on sons and daughters, and that is the most beautiful day to represent. Like, it really is. And what I love though is that a lot of our leaders are not, and even student leaders and whatnot. That was not the only day of the week, a day of the year they ever serve.
Correct.
They serve all the time on Sundays.
Yeah.
And then this is just a week where we get to showcase what kids in use. So if you do have a kid or a youth student in our church, and they're not attending more kids or more youth, get them there. What are you doing? Like, they should go. Like, you saw how the level of excellence and quality and care and attention that our team is giving to it every week, they're killing it.
Yeah.
And so your kids need to be
Can
there.
I turn that screw a little bit more? Not from just what are you doing, but like, you're kind of missing it.
Yeah.
It's like there's this free resource that's there for your student to gain godly friends and learn what the Bible has to say about who they are, and get them there, man. And listen, they might cry and whine for the first month or two, but I'm telling you, I won't tell the family, but we had who it is, but we had a family, they made their son go to camp last year. Mm-hmm. And last year is kind of a butt munch.
Yeah,
the whole
about
week.
it.
But they bring him to youth, and he's still here.
Yep.
This is the year, changed his whole life.
Right, he
got baptized.
He just needed 2.
And so like, did it take them 52 weeks? Yes.
Yep.
But let me tell you something. They're really glad that they fought that battle.
Today, they're super happy.
Yeah.
No, it's really good.
Fight
yeah.
it.
And like, yeah, also like, we're working really hard to do that. So come on.
All right.
Help us out. Okay, what are we talking about?
Okay, so I keep seeing this post on social media.
Yeah.
On the Gram and the Book of Faces. Mm-hmm. And I don't know where else. It's probably in all the other ones.
TikTok, probably.
I'm not there.
Snapchat.
I'm going to let the Antichrist just reign over there, and I'm going to do my own thing.
YouTube.
But here's what I've read.
Yes.
I've seen 30 people post this.
Yes.
And so here's what it says. People post this and they say, you can still be friends with people who leave your church, period. We aren't in gangs. Have you seen that?
Yes.
And then every time someone posts this, there's 100 people that comment, yeah. And then they tell their story about how a church they left,
People stop being friends with them.
And so like, it creates a million thoughts in my head.
Yeah.
And so literally this week, a guy that I know posted it, you can still be friends with people who leave your church. We aren't in gangs. And I almost commented. Do you ever write a comment and then sit there and wisdom tells you not to send it?
Last week.
Yeah.
I saw some lady comment on a new mom's post, and it was highly rude. And I was like, also like, you're not in a relationship with this lady. Why? And I started to write like, what in the world's wrong with you?
Yeah, shut up, lady, go away.
Leave her alone is what I started. And then I was just like, nope, not my place. Leave it alone. Yes.
So I screenshot.
But someone else did, so then I didn't.
So I screenshot what I was going to write. The original post, you can still be friends with people who leave your church. We aren't in gangs.
You screenshot what you wrote, but then deleted?
But I didn't
Good
send
job.
it. Here's what I was going to say. Yeah, unless the people do a drive-by on their way out. And like, you're right. When people leave your church, we're not in gangs.
We're not in gangs.
You can still be friends.
Let's quantify that just in case anybody doesn't know what that means.
Okay.
So like in a gang, like a actual like the Bloods versus the Crips.
Okay,
like you can't wear blue if you're in the Bloods, and you can't wear red if you're in the Crips, right?
And so
then if you want to get out of the gang, they're gonna murder you.
Yeah.
Like you.
So like if you go to a church and leave a church, you can still be friends with all the people that were at the church.
Right.
Unless before you left.
Right.
You just started acting like a gang member, popping caps and all kind of people relationally, emotionally, telling a bunch of bullcrap lies.
Right.
Then maybe the leadership is going to be like, that person's dangerous.
Yes. Yeah. How did you leave? Like, that is a great question to ask. Yeah, you can, depending on how you left. Like the idea that like, yeah, why would you drag people's name through mud? Why would you? Seasons change, situations change, we move, or our family dynamics change.
Or like your church moves and leaves the city you're in.
Right, your church leaves from one city to another.
Bunch of jerks.
And so like when that happens and you're like, hey, we just want to stay closer to home, or hey, my grandkids and my kids are all attending this church and we just want to be with our grandkids in the season. There's nothing wrong with that. Like whatever, when you leave in love and honor, there's no problem staying friends.
Yeah.
But when you start blowing things up, and kind of when you do that, you're creating the gangs.
Right.
That's the part I think that people don't understand, is like, no, man, I wasn't trying to not be your friend, but you kind of made it so now we can't be friends.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So talk about it. What?
I don't know. I want to talk about it and I don't want to talk about it just because like I'm the pastor of the church who people would view as like the head of the gang.
Okay.
And so it's kind of like.
Have you ever left anywhere well, and have you ever left anywhere not well?
Okay, that's a much better question.
Yeah.
I had a job in high school at Burger King, and after I quit that job at Burger King, but I quit because I was about to get fired, I literally never went back to the restaurant because I knew you done screwed up.
You done screwed up?
Yeah, I was like giving my buddies free Whoppers out the back drive-through window. Like I was acting a fool at that restaurant.
Yes.
And so I was like, I'm
not going back.
I'm kind of enemies with all these people here
Yeah.
because of how I left.
Right.
Then I remember I had a job at Sears selling tires. And like all the time it was at Sears at the mall.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I quit that job, anytime I was back at the mall, I would swing back by.
Right.
I would see my old coworkers.
Yep.
High five everybody, be up in the break room, like, what's up? Like, because I left, I gave like a 2-week notice and they asked me to stay a month and I stayed a month.
Yeah.
And like, because I left well, I was able to go back and still be in a relationship.
No, that's good. I think
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, or just any place. I think the part that people have a hard time understanding in church world. Now, also, what you said is true. We work at a church.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
And also we
give our
life to the church. Like our blood, sweat, and tears. And like what we're building here is more than just a Sunday. And we say it all the time. It's more than just a Sunday church. We're building a community of people.
Yeah.
So when you leave our church, you've kind of said, I want to leave this community.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a confusing feeling, I think, for those of us who work to build the community.
Right.
Because it's like, well, if you want to leave the community, then why do you still want to be friends? It doesn't make full sense, I think, to those of us who see the church as more than just a checkbox. And that's what I wonder sometimes when people say that post. I'm like, well, what do you see the church as?
Yeah.
What is it to you? Because to you, if it's just a place you come and check a box on a Sunday, then yeah, you can still be friends with the people that you were going out to dinner with on Fridays, I guess, if you both happen to go to the same church.
Right. But if you're intensely against the organization.
Well, even if you saw it as a community, then why would you be leaving it and then still wanting it to be your community? Right. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So it's a challenge. So I don't really know how much to talk about. I know this is my idea to have as a topic. It's just, I think that you and I sometimes get stuck in some of these things because we grew up in a very different like upbringing and world. Like back in the day, me going to church, like the church my mom and dad took us to was like extension of our home.
Yeah.
And like there was some loyalty and some like
people didn't
we're
leave.
in it.
Yeah, people didn't church hop back then.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And like it was pre-YouTube, so you weren't just like listening to 39 pastors and then like comparing your pastor's this Sunday message to like this other guy's like sugar stick, greatest sermon he ever preached. And so there wasn't this like homogenous thing of discipleship that was happening.
Well, and you didn't even really know. Like, yes, there were a few like churches in the area that would have like city revival or certain events that you knew they were having, but you didn't really know, oh, I know they're doing this in their kids ministry, or oh, they're doing this in their, you didn't really know what other places were doing because you were just kind of doing your thing. There weren't websites to go see everything they had to offer and all. And it feels very much that the church grew into a more consumer product rather than a home-based community.
And so like maybe that's what it is. Why I'm having a hard time even articulating, because the 30 times I've seen people post that we're not in gangs, they're a consumer Christian.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
They're looking at the church as a place for them to go and get free stuff.
Yeah, it's a checkbox.
Instead of a place for them to go and use their gifts to fill heaven.
Yeah.
And which there's a difference. Like, and I keep hearing this thing. I'll meet people and talk to people, and I'll say, well, they'll say, I go to 2 churches. Oh. What do you mean? Well, like this church, if they're doing a series that I like, then I'll be over there. And then like if you guys, you're doing something like, I love watching the baptisms, so I come to every house party. And I'm like, okay, so if you like what that guy's preaching for 4 weeks, you go there. But then you like watching the fruit of here, then you come and watch baptisms.
I think it's
or if I'm teaching on marriage and your marriage is falling apart and you don't want to hear what I have to say about marriage, you don't come.
Yeah.
I go to 2 churches, I'm like, I don't know how to really articulate how I feel about that because they're all pretty aggressive. Like, how would that be if I did that to Rachel?
Right.
Like, what if when Rachel was on her period, I had another girlfriend to go hang out with?
So vulgarly true, though. Like, right. I got it.
Like, what if...
Sometimes we're directly aggressive. Right.
Like, what if when Rachel's dad passed...
Yeah.
That
season of grief.
That month every year is a little emotionally hard for her.
Yeah.
What if I'm like, dude, my wife last October, that was rough. I'm about to just be like, go hang out with
crazy.
Jill across the street.
Jill across the street.
I don't know anybody named Jill, so that's why I picked Jill. But like, we don't. But yet the Bible says that the church is called the bride of Christ, and like, it's just kind of crazy to me that we say we're going to go to 2 churches. Do you know what going to 2 churches does? It means you're not really planted in either.
Right.
And I think it's kind of tricky. I'm only talking about because I've heard it a bunch of times.
Yeah.
It's tricky because if you go to 2 churches, if you don't show up to this one, everybody at this one assumes you're at that one. And then when you're not at that one, everyone assumes you're at this one. But you know where you are? In bed. So it
doesn't really hold you accountable anywhere.
You can't. It's impossible to be held accountable because you're now like have this perfect alibi for why you're not in God's house.
Yeah.
Well, because you're just, and so it just feels tricky. And it's like this new challenge that the world is facing. Because like back in the day, I don't think people went to multiple churches and openly like talked about it.
No, and I think...
Now listen, let me give a caveat. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
It's fine.
If it's like, have I cut you off 3 times in a row? Do you ever have a shirt that the sleeves like roll up into your armpits? The shirt's doing that to me. Okay, if it's like Mother's Day,
right,
and your grandma has been going to the same church for 98 years, and like you want to go sit with your grandma on Mother's Day,
right,
go.
100.
That's not what I'm talking about. If your like brother is a pastor,
right,
and it's his like 10-year anniversary as a pastor there, and he invited you to have go. I'm not talking about special occasions. Or like you're on vacation, you can't go to another church. Go. I'm saying like,
no, a consistent
there's 2 churches
decision.
within 15 miles of each other, and you're just hopping around.
Right, absolutely. Sorry. And no, I think it's good. I think talking about, we have people who have attended our church that we still are in a relationship with right now. Now this person moved, so I guess it's different. But there's others that are in the area still. But like Ryan Forgey's a great example.
Love them.
Love Ryan and Michelle so much.
Shout out to the Forgeys.
They were here. They were a part of, she led our preschool team. He served in a ton of areas. And then they moved. They ended up moving. But now he went and felt like it was a season for him to go step back into full-time ministry somewhere else. And he left and went back there. They're still our friend. Literally last week he called, hey, who can I talk to about production things? Gave him Easton's number. They connected. They talked about some stuff. They left well. Yeah. They left honoring. We sent them well, I guess is the way to say that. And like there was no bad blood. We've had people in the area who have been here, we love and have been a part, and then have said, hey, I feel like we're supposed to go help this other smaller church that's getting revitalized, and we have some giftings to share. And so we're not leaving you, you're sending us. Yeah. And those type of seasonal changes are like, hey, for your family, that's what you felt was the right next step. We love you. We bless you as you go. Mm-hmm. And you're always welcome. There's still people I know right now that are Tug team members that have gone and are helping other churches and are using their gifts in other places. But again, it's all in how they left. It all in the way they approached it, of saying like, hey, we love this place and there is not anything bad of why we're going. In fact, it's because of the good that's happened here. It's because of the community that's happened here. It's because of the growth that's happened here that we're now taking what we've learned here, and we're going to take part of that culture somewhere else and help grow that place for the kingdom. Because again, we're not saying this is the only church that you can be a part of. We're not saying this is the only place. This is just how we're doing what we're doing. And so for them, they didn't leave their community. They expanded their community. There's a difference. And I think it's very important. and how you're leaving, where you're leaving, and how you are transitioning. Maybe that's even the better word than just leaving, but how you're transitioning. Caden is a great example. Caden is
K-Dog,
at college right now in Oklahoma. Shout out Oklahoma. Also, always have to, just kidding. But he's on loan.
Good luck with all the tornadoes, guys.
They're terrifying. He's on loan to Oklahoma right now, but that's why when he's home, he's here because this is his home. And so like he's here for the summer, and he was like, "Hey, do y'all have a spot for me?" Absolutely.
Well, he texted us and it was like, we didn't even have to talk about it. We're like, yes.
He kept being like, "Let's set up a meeting," and we're like, "Okay." And it didn't work always with his schedule, our schedule. And we're like, "What do we not even need a meeting for? Just come on. When you get home, get home."
Yeah.
And so like, it's all in how you transition from anywhere you transition.
Yeah. I spoke to the YouTube piece about watching other pastors. I think it's good to eat from multiple sources.
Absolutely.
So I'm not saying don't consume other stuff.
No.
But it's just the world
don't
of ministry
allow
has
it
shifted.
to create a grass is greener mentality.
You need to be planted somewhere.
Right.
They that are planted in the house of the Lord are going to flourish. And like, it's really hard to be planted in multiple places. You can be fed, you can receive stuff, but like, where are you serving? Where are you planted? Where are you tithing? Where are you engaging in all these places?
Let's just take the whole illustration further. If you keep a tree in a pot, it will only grow to that certain level. And you can transfer that pot into the tug of war room. You can transfer it out into the lobby.
Yeah.
You can take it home with you and put it in your living room.
Yeah.
But if you plant it in the actual ground where the roots can actually grow, then it will grow into a tall tree. And I think that's what happens for people who they transfer themselves, they transplant. They can still get the water, the seed, the whatever, but there's just only a certain amount that they can grow because they just kind of get moved from room to room, to place. And it's like, how deep do you want your roots to be?
Yeah.
How big do you want your tree to grow? How much fruit do you want to produce?
It's really good. Thanks for. I wanted to clean that up, and I think that's the right approach. So you asked a good question of like, did you leave well? And I think sometimes what we do as humans is when we feel change coming, we want to have like a good reason for that change to have proof. Right. Is that right? Is that saying the right way? And so people will want to leave a church for either like God's telling them to, and there's like a season of change, or they're moving or something, or they're convicted and they're just kind of unwilling to allow the Holy Spirit to do what He wants to do. And so in either of those, when you leave wrong, you can start to fabricate a story to prove your bad decision is a right one.
Yep.
And so they just start throwing mud at stuff unjustifiably.
Well, also it's hard to just...
I feel like I said that really sloppily.
No, you didn't. You said it, and we're going to now unpack it. They're working on the Wi-Fi internet.
I'm like, we have a new door with a window, and Tim has looked in it at me a dozen times.
He was nervous.
Is the building on fire?
No, we changed the time we were going to record, and he said we have this meeting with the Wi-Fi internet people, and he was nervous they would be too loud. And I was like, no, they're not. But now he's just looking at you, and it's distracting you.
He keeps looking in the window like a kid seeing Santa Claus coming down the chimney. He's like,
hello?
I'm like, Tim, it's me. I'm
just shooting a podcast. Okay, so let's say what you said. Let's go back to it. So, yes, I'm
in full ADD. I'm very ADD today.
It's the bloom.
It's Andrew Byther's fault.
Andrew Byther, it's the bloom.
My prebiotics have just ruined my brain for the rest of the afternoon.
So the idea that they create a story or whatever, or it's hard to be directly communicative of your, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to also make a decision and stand by it and just say, I made this decision. It's hard. And so it's a lot easier to deflect on other people. It's a lot easier to come up with some problems or scenarios that, what you said, it justifies. And sometimes we don't always have, and right or wrong, it doesn't mean it was the wrong decision, but maybe we don't have the right justification. We don't feel. So we just start coming up with these other reasons. And it's like, when I left the cosmetic world to come be here and work here full time, I tried for a minute to like do both, and it was impossible. There was nothing wrong with my cosmetic job.
Okay.
There was nothing wrong with my boss. She was wonderful. There was nothing wrong with the people I worked with. They're great. There was nothing bad about the job I'd been doing for the last 10 years, but it was done. The season was done. The time for me to step into something new was done. Or the time for me to step into a new thing was now. And the time for me to leave that was now. And I had to stand on that decision. And I learned from the first time I wouldn't leave the other job. I had this dentist office job. Now, there was lots wrong there.
Yeah.
It was not healthy environment. It was toxic. But I kept not wanting to just stand firm in my decision. And I kept going back and forth. Well, maybe I could do it part-time. Well, I can be here a little while longer while I help you find the people to replace me. And because of that, and because of my intense care for other people, I drug my family and myself through a way too long transition process of pain because I was unwilling to just say, this is my decision and I stand on it.
Right.
And so I learned that there. And so in the cosmetic thing, I had to be willing to say, hey, this has been amazing. I'm so grateful for the time I've had here. I've loved working with you. You're valuable and great, but I'm just stepping into something different and new. And there's really no, there's not a different amount of money you can give me. No, there's not more hours or a better schedule. It's really just that this is a decision I'm making to step into the next thing. And I only learned to do it that time because I screwed it up the first time.
Yeah.
And if people could just say it that way, then man, it would be so much smoother. But instead, because we start thinking about all the things and then we get selfish and prideful and whatever, and don't want to just own it because what are they going to think about me? We start pointing things in the wrong direction, I think is what. And so we blame, the first job, I blamed the schedule. And every time they would try to solve the problem, it wasn't really the problem. And that's what people do. Then that's what gets confusing for us is they make up problems. So I kept saying, the schedule, and I don't get home at a certain time. So they changed my schedule and I got home at an earlier time. Well, that still wasn't doing it because it wasn't the right job for me. But instead of me just saying that, I came up with another thing. Oh, okay, well, we'll pay you more money. Well, it wasn't really the money, but it was I just kept poking at holes of if you do, and it just drug the whole thing out. And instead, hey, I love this place. I'm so thankful for this job. I'm so honored to have been here, but it's time to move on. If people could just do it like that, then everything would be fine.
I want to tell stories, but I don't know if it's appropriate to tell actual stories of how people make up a story.
Oh, I don't know either.
Because it's what happens. So churches aren't gangs. You can still be friends with people if they leave. Jen and CR, they moved away. They're on our staff. We're still friends. They're friends with a lot of people in our church. Terry and Heather, they're still friends with a lot of people in our church.
Absolutely.
We the amount of people that have moved or left or Don and Stacy left and are coming back and we're in a relationship and their daughter goes to camp. So many people for a season transition. We're here. God transitioned them out. They felt like God's hand of grace is lifted on the season. It was time for them to be a part of another ministry. And we're still in really good relationship. But it's when the story gets turned and becomes attacking.
Well, I also think it's just people's defaults. I'm going to break up with you before you break up with me.
There we go. Yeah.
You and I had a really good friend that when some transition happened, they suddenly in a moment, we were like, what happened? What's going on in this weird, explosive moment that happened? And in it realized, their default is just that they're trying to break up with, they think we're breaking up with them. We're not.
Yeah.
The season has just changed and some details are changing, but you're still my friend. I still love you, all things. And they were trying to break up with us before we broke up with them. And I think that happens to people, right? And so they break up. I wasn't seen, or someone was offensive to me, or my kid wasn't well taken care of, or you're not giving me the meat anymore, or whatever, because they're just afraid. It's what you said. Sometimes when people need to be leveled up and they know they need to be leveled up, but they don't want to make the jump, they're like, then they're going to break up with me. And so rather than that feels safer to just break up first, right?
Yeah.
It's probably what it is. I don't know. I'm just having this in real time revelation.
I have so many thoughts about all of this.
Yes.
There's a lot of times that when you're in an organization of any kind, a church, a business, a friend group, anytime you get enough people together, there's going to be relational tension.
Absolutely.
There's stuff that is we rub people the wrong way, or this is not how my preference would go, or they said this and it hurt my feelings. And I think that like we just have to mature to a point where we're like, you know what? There's no such thing as a perfect church.
Right.
And I have to be able to get over these little like bumps in the road to not abandon my discipleship process or steal my family's community because of a little like awkward exchange.
Well, Tim always says that about when he transitioned. He was on staff, working with us every day, took a season off during some hard stuff in his life, and then came back. And he always says that when people ask him, like, why didn't you eject? Why didn't you go somewhere else during that? And he was like, well, it wasn't just my decision. It was also about my kids. It was also about my wife.
Right.
And having the bigger picture of like who this transition is affecting is a big deal. It matters.
And so what's sad, I think, and why I know I feel maybe choppy a little bit in this podcast because I'm like, how do we talk about this with sensitivity is I know that there's times that stuff in churches happen.
Absolutely.
That gets people crossways, even if it's not with the leadership.
Right.
There's like awkward stuff that happens in a life group. Like, why did you bring the casserole? I brought the casserole.
Right.
And I thought I was going to get to pray over the birthday party
Rachel
cake.
sent me this meme. There's literally a thing going viral right now of these two old women.
Okay.
That it's literally, she stole my recipe.
Yeah.
And she's like in church and she's like cussing about this B-word girl. Stole my recipe, took it to the Bible study potluck, and everyone thinks it's her recipe, but it's really mine. And I want to, and it's literally going viral around of these women. It's just funny, but it's like, yes, conflict is going to happen in it happens in family. It happens in the jobs you work. It happens everywhere.
And if every time something like that happens, you then make a story,
right,
and a bunch of reasons, which we were just talking about why you're leaving, and you're not being fed, and this and that, and the opinion of the pastor's, how he spends his money, and all this stuff,
right,
and then you just leave, you're never going to be planted anywhere,
right?
Because like every church is full of people, and people are a disaster everywhere,
yeah.
And you're going to get your feelings hurt, or something's going to get a little awkward, and so I think that we have to just like grow up a tad, to like get over some of that stuff, and I'm so proud of so many of the people in our church because we're a say all the words kind of place.
Absolutely.
That we're have people that are stepping into new levels of leadership, and we're stepping into new levels of leadership, new levels, new devils. And so there's new problems that come, and all the time I'll be in a conversation with somebody. Can I just say, I just had a conversation with Robin Moody.
Yeah.
Love Robin. He's like ultimate tug of war dude. He asks great questions. And Robin was leading a conference for us, and it went great, but there were some changes that we're making.
Yeah.
And it was the perfect time for him to get offended.
Right.
Perfect. Like, he could have so easily circled these things, made them big reasons, created a narrative, and then been mad. But him and I had a conversation. He walked away. He prayed about it.
Yeah.
He heard from the Holy Spirit, and he understood, hey, man, this is just something that I have to be able to get over.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of agree with the changes that are being made to the things and the next steps. I agree that those are good. It hurts what I wanted a little bit, but it's that maturity that's allowing him to level up in his leadership instead of just being like, you know what, that small thing kind of makes me not happy, so I'm going to eject.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I could tell a dozen stories of people. Remember when Emerson and Aida took on the Salvation team? And like we had a big meeting with them. And how long did it take us to get them Bibles?
A long time.
Like we literally have this big vision meeting, and then we don't print the materials they need. We didn't get them Bibles.
Yeah.
And then like we forgot to announce like for 4 months, if you accept Jesus, our elders are like we did a horrible job for like 4 months. But you know what? They didn't get so bent out of shape about it because they would ask us and be like, oh, I'm sorry. Man, we forgot. The Bibles we wanted, we found out they're $30 each. We can't afford. Like, we just talked about it.
They had grace for us in the process of our navigating it, and understood there was 9 other things that we were trying to solve at the same time, and all the pieces.
And so because volunteers had grace for the leadership, we now got all that figured out, and now they're killing it.
Q said the greatest thing in Father's Day message. He said, he said, what if you could stick around and grow with your church? Yeah. And I never heard it said that way, but I'm like, the thing that I love about Q and Nicole, I've known them 15 years almost now, is that we've grown together. Like they have had the grace for you and I to step in. We were not their
pastors
leaders
in the beginning
when they first met us.
We're just friends.
And a lot of people couldn't make that jump, and that's okay. Like, we weren't mad at them for it. But they literally were like, hey, I'm going to give you the grace and space to grow into the leaders that you are, and that I know God's called you to be, and we're going to keep growing with you.
Yeah.
And now look at what we've gotten to do. And as he's sharing that, I'm like, yeah, maybe if you're feeling like, oh, there's an area where it needs to be better, well, can you go help make that area better? And like, that's, as you're talking about Emerson and Aida, I'm like, that was their heart. They were just like, we want to go help make this area better. So we're going to have the grace for it while it grows, and we're going to help, we're going to stick around and help. And I think that's,
and when you stick around and help, we're going to be really open to your ideas.
Absolutely. Right.
But if you've never served and you want to bring 100 ideas of what we could do better, I'm like, bro, I got more ideas than I have life to do it.
I think
we don't need ideas. We need, the field is white with harvest. The workers are few.
Right.
Help be a worker on the team.
Yeah. I think a great question to ask yourself, because you and I, again, leading is different than being a part of. Leading maybe.
Okay.
And so, okay, we aren't in gangs. Well, how do I know if I'm making a gang? Or how do I know if the friend who left is shooting shots? Or how do I, maybe a good, like, helpful question for a person listening could be, how do you feel every time you leave that conversation? So maybe you have a friend that's disconnected from the community, but every time you hang out with them, does the conversation go back to something negative? Is it stay positive and just about baseball and life and where your kids are doing and the programs they're doing in school or whatever? Or does it turn back to reasons why they left and reasons why they're not there and the offense that they're finding? And so, like, I think it's important to ask yourself, because what we've seen before is what you said, the drive-by shootingness of the gang. And it's like, oh, we're not trying to create a gang, but are they trying to pull me into their gang? And it's important to be aware of that, I think, in this conversation dynamic. Does that make sense?
That's a really good way to frame it. So let's just make the scenario.
Yes.
Let's say you're friends with somebody in the church, and that person and their family leaves the church.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then a month goes by, and y'all go out for sushi.
Right.
And while you're at sushi, that couple spends half of the conversation bad-mouthing or painting a, like, negative picture
narrative
of the church that you still attend.
Right.
Okay. Well, and you leave and you're talking to your spouse and you're like, that was kind of heavy, right? That was not really fun. And then another month goes by and then you go out for barbecue.
Right.
And they do the same thing.
Yeah.
And this time they're saying it all again, and the venom is coming out.
Yeah.
Then you have to realize, like, oh, they have an agenda to.
Yeah.
What is it? Sorrow loves company.
Or misery loves company.
Misery loves company.
And maybe I think it's just the understanding of, like, Aaron says to us all the time, like, these people are God's people, not ours.
Yeah.
And I've heard, other people in those comment sections of those posts I've seen. It's like, what, you're going to stop loving and reaching people just because they're not under the church umbrella that you're in? And it's like, no, not necessarily. But if they stepped outside the umbrella, then that stops being my responsibility to make sure they're okay and make sure that they're getting fed and all of those pieces. And I think sometimes people feel the guilt or the weight of, like, I don't want to let them go. They still need community. They still need us. And it's like, it's not your responsibility. Is it dragging you down? Is it making you question your plantedness? Is it starting to make your fruit a little bit rotten? Like, you have to actually pay attention to that. And if the answer is no, if they're just telling you what God's doing in their life and they're doing great and their life is going well and they're happy for you and what you're doing, and then cool, then everything's cool. But if that's not the case, then maybe it's important to wait and clarify and take a step back and be okay with making space. And like you said, sometimes space is just needed for a minute in a season, and then sometimes it's needed continuously. It's just important to weigh if you feel like you're in a gang so that you don't end up in a gang accidentally.
Really, we're not in gangs. Churches should not be rivals.
Right.
Like,
because that's the other piece I'm thinking about. The last podcast we just recorded, the other pastor across town that came here and was so encouraging. No, we're for each other. And if someone's not the right fit here, I'm going to send them over there.
Right.
Because I know now his heart is great and awesome. Go there, right?
There's hundreds of thousands of people in Arlington.
Yes.
Our auditorium only seats 600.
Right.
We only have two services right now.
Right.
We only have the capacity to seat 1,200 people right now. I am not upset if there's a church reaching a lot of people.
Correct.
Because if you filled every church in Arlington, Texas, 4 times over, you couldn't still fulfill the Great Commission.
Yeah, correct.
There's plenty of fish in the sea to be reached. So we're not in gangs. We should not be territorial, or we shouldn't be like opposing. We're not rivals of each other.
Right.
But like both sides have to guard their heart from that mentality.
Absolutely.
The leadership side.
Absolutely.
And the attendee side.
Yeah, and I think you and I, Caden was saying to us earlier, like the reason he was able to leave to go to school well, he said, y'all also sent me well. And I think we've learned over the years what it looks like to send versus what it looks like when people leave. I think for a season, there were times when anybody would leave, we would feel like, no, how do we help them? And now we recognize they're God's people. They're not ours. And so like, as long as we are working on our end to send people well, then we can work together in that. And I think that it takes communication, which we talk about all the time. It takes clarity and being able to really just genuinely say all our words to each other. Like, hey, is there anything here that we can, I don't know, anything we need to know or anything we need to clarify? And then being able to love each other and send each other on our way. Because I think this conversation is helpful, not just for a church person, but for any person, because change is a part of life.
Yeah.
Transitions happen, seasons change. Either you work with people and they don't work with you, and like they're leaving the job, or sometimes you're leaving a job. My season of my life, my son just moved out of my house and went to go live with his wife. My daughter at some point will go live. If literally I treated them like they were in gangs when they left, well, now you got to go be with your wife instead of us.
You're not under my roof.
Not under my roof anymore. That's absurd. Like you have to allow change, and then when those things happen, you have to redefine the relationship, redefine the way things go, and you got to be open to that. And I think as humans, our human nature is when things change, then our dukes come up. And it's just like, what if we just let change happen and we were more open to the change when it's happening, and we left well and we transitioned well and we sent people well. And so I think that is the part of the conversation that as you and I have stepped into like the next level of leadership, we've gotten a lot better at sending people well. And even like people on our staff team who've transitioned on and off now multiple times. We've had people that are in the church attending, coming to work on the staff team, and then the season of them working on the staff team came to an end, and now they're back attending the church, but not on the team anymore. And that's okay. Like we've been able to navigate it. I feel like really well in the last season as we've learned what it looks like to leave and send well.
Yeah.
Yes?
It's really good.
Your face, you have so many thoughts in your brain.
I don't. Well, we paused the podcast for a minute.
Yes.
You didn't get to see it. We paused it and we had a conversation because I'm kind of having a hard time with it. And Whitney asked me a great question. She said, are you trying to frame this conversation so that people won't leave? And I said, yes. But that's not all the way true.
No,
it's like,
it's a percentage,
yes,
a percentage of your thoughts. It's just.
But it's more like, how do we help the people who have friends that we know left? Because it just creates, 20 years ago, if you didn't see your friends, you didn't know what they were doing.
Right. Unless you called them on the phone.
So now people leave the church, they throw a bunch of rocks on their way out, and they invite everybody to their new church for a month when they never invited anybody to that church.
Yeah.
And it's just really confusing now.
Right.
And so I'm just like, it's sticky.
It's sticky.
It feels sticky because we're not gangs.
Right.
But the shepherd in me, okay, this might help. The shepherd in me gets a little frustrated when someone's going to try to pull baby lambs out of the fold, out of their own unguarded offenses.
Yeah.
And it's what I see happen is people will get disenfranchised with a local church and then they'll leave and they'll just try to steal anybody that they can to go with them somewhere else. But these people are such babies in their faith that they get plucked out. This person who took them is not a pastor.
Right.
Doesn't have a pastor's heart. It's selfish what they're doing.
Yeah.
Spewing. And then now these people are out there in this new church. Nobody knows them. Nobody connects to them. And you know what happens? They spiritually die. And I watch it time after time after time. And I'm watching it with a couple right now. We just talked about them yesterday. I'm watching this couple right now. They're so here and entrenched and invested in God's changing their family. And then another person, something crazy happens that I can't believe they get offended for. And all of a sudden they start having dinners and golf and coffee. And now this person starts getting pulled away. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? It's not a gang, but I'm their shepherd.
Yeah.
I love them. They're baby in their walk. And they're getting pulled out, not to another church, just out of this one. Mm-hmm. Pulled out to where? Pulled out to mimosas on Sunday?
Right.
Like pulled out to what? For what? And so I'm not in a gang, and I'm not trying to hurt that person that's stealing them, but my pastor heart is, I'm very conflicted in what to do sometimes because like those people are out of line.
Correct.
And they're stealing sheep from God's flock.
Right.
And I don't know what to do, which is why I might feel a little choppy in my conversation.
Well, and I think that
which I probably wish I would have understood before we even started an hour ago.
No, it's good. That's why we have these. They're literally unscripted conversation between two friends about where we are and where we want to be.
You're
absolutely.
Like, no, don't.
Absolutely. And I think the reason I only even guarded us from in it is like, it is a different seat.
Right.
And it is difficult. And so the people making those posts are typically not pastors. They're typically just people attending churches, and it's hard to understand that. It's hard when you don't hear. I saw a post that said, I wish I could remember it all the way, but essentially said like, no, your pastor has a side of the story too. You just didn't hear it.
Right. Except we are supposed to live above reproach and not throw mud also.
That's what I was going to say. And so it's like there's times when things happen and offenses come and all the things, but as leaders, like I'm not going to tell you that.
I'm not going to tell you they're crazy.
I'm not going to tell you the sides of that story because that wouldn't be appropriate for me.
I'm now giving you a bad example of what a man of God is.
Yeah, and that wouldn't be Matthew 18. And
Correct.
like we followed Matthew 18, this is where we're at. And so like, but because they're no longer a part of our church, it's not appropriate for us to share that. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it makes it tricky. And so I think our heart in it is just, man, if you're going to leave place somewhere, leave it well. Let us be a part of a conversation with you so that you can hopefully make the right decision for you and your family, and just know that humans are humans. Like, and I think that's the piece that's like, yeah, the whole, you started it perfectly. You are not in gangs unless you do a drive-by shooting. And like,
right.
We just started, our heart is just, hey, please don't shoot anybody. Like,
right.
Like it's really hard as a pastor, and what people don't know is how many times we've run out in front of those cars. They don't know it. So that they didn't get shot. And that's the part I think that is hard and sucks, and that we're both like,
hard to articulate.
Yeah. Because it's hard. They don't know the bleeding wounds of the time. So I'm like,
right.
Shoot us instead. It's fine. And they can't know, and that's okay.
And then you just keep getting shot for 6 months. You know what I mean?
While standing in the yard, like, it's fine. We're not in gangs.
You're right. We're not in gangs. I got shot 18 times last week, and these people I've been pouring into left, and they're mad at me now. But because that guy's shooting.
But he's the Lord of the harvest.
I know.
He's the Lord of the harvest.
Matthew 9.
It's the truth. I'm like, dang, if we didn't have that conversation today, like, dang, but it's true. Like, he's the Lord of the harvest, and that's, I think, what you and I have learned in the last, few years is that we can take the bullets. God will fill the holes in us and in them and in all the people. And then we're just having to like, and so our heart now as shepherds is, if you're going to leave anywhere, leave it well. Let us help you leave it well so that you.
Yeah, which might be a whole conversation.
Don't end up in a game.
How to leave well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes it's just like leave silently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like leave, pray about it, and leave without causing a big fuss.
Yeah.
Because like, is what you're frustrated about worth that person's discipleship journey?
But that's what we see is the
like, unless you think the church you're going to, unless you think the pastor,
I guess we should have
if the pastor is like molesting people or embezzling money or like
breaking the law.
Yeah, breaking the law. Then like, yes.
Manipulatively.
Do something like leave and take people.
Yes.
Talk about it. But if you're just like mad that they don't play your favorite song anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or like, I don't know.
No, it's good. I think that's good. There, look, we did it.
I got. We don't have our timer going.
It's been right at almost an hour, and then except for our little pause that you didn't see.
K-Dog, how'd we do? It's good?
He said
all right,
good.
We got thumbs up.
He said, what did you say? A gorilla could do this?
A gorilla could sit back there and do it.
He said, I did not say that.
Guys, we love y'all. Hey, if you have any questions that you want us to answer, tell us. Our favorite thing to talk about is what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Today, we're talking about what we're thinking. What questions, where are you at in your Jesus journey? What faith questions do you have? What family questions? What life and leadership questions?
Yep.
And man, you can hear what we think about it.
That's right. We'll tell you what we think.
Right or wrong, but we'll say what we think is closest to what the Bible has to say.
No, that's true. And keep tomming around town because you never know when the next giveaway will be. Most likely next time because Trustin likes to give them away all the time.
Yeah, there's more.
Love y'all.
All right, love you. See you. Bye. Oh, wait. It's too late. Did they already all hang up?
No, what?
If any of the people no, it doesn't matter.
What?
I have a video idea. I told Kane and Easton, they roll their eyes at me and they think it's dumb.
What?
You know, next door we have the Goodwill, and they have a big gorilla on the roof. I want us to make a video where we show like the gorilla and then it pans over to our building and then we superimpose through AI. No, they have King Kong. They have King Kong in their building, and I want us to have Godzilla come out of our building because King Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah.
And then King Kong is like, and like smacks the
and then Goodwill sues us?
No. And then it's just funny. It's just like, dude, more church straight dominating.
I love it. Okay.
So if any of y'all know how to make AI videos, make me that one, and I'll just laugh really hard.
It's ridiculous. Love y'all.
All right, see you, bye.